everybody, Kim Silvio here. Normally I would do a week that was in the ex-JW community, but this week I thought I'd mix it up a bit because I have an opinion. So the other day I read something on Twitter. It was an interaction between a man and a woman and had something to do with the ex-JW community. I do remember it had something to do with Lloyd Evans. Anyway, the man was saying/typing, "You sound just like a gossipy elder's wife. Go back to the organisation," or words to that effect. It got me big mad. I then started to think about why I was mad. Why did I react this way? As I was journaling through the why question, I came to realise that it made me mad because the woman wasn't gossiping, as the man had suggested. She was expressing her opinion of the matter, an opinion that the man didn't think was any of her business, so he labelled her a gossip and likened her to an elder's wife in the Kingdom Hall. So let's be honest, this is not the first time any of us have heard or read something like this. I thought about what the woman was saying, and it didn't fit the definition of gossip. Further thinking happened, and I thought, she's really just expressing her opinion. So she had formed an opinion based on her knowledge and facts collected, and then made an opinion. So here's why it got me big mad. Person A expressed an opinion. Person B didn't like the subject and/or the opinion of the subject. Person B proceeded to label person A a gossip and that they really were like a gossipy elder's wife, which, let's be honest, no one likes being compared to anyone Borgie related. So person A then gets upset, deletes their opinion, and then I sit here going, well, why did they delete their opinion? Are they not entitled to have the same free speech rights as everybody else? Which then generated further thoughts that came to my mind. And so I came to my opinion. Our community is nowhere near as deculted as we think we are. Why do we continue to compare behaviour to cult behaviour, which can be delivered in the ultimate smackdown tone, let's be honest, often resulting in the other person running off with their opinions in tatters? And sirs, before you get your knickers in a twist, calm down and continue to hear my opinion. It's not just men that do it. Yes, I think it's fair to acknowledge that we women do it too. Bloody elders mentality. Think he's all in MS still. Or my personal favourite, the man with the microphone. And yes, I'm going to hold myself in contempt on this one. I will say that women are far more justified in displaying their behaviour, but that's just my opinion. If you disagree with me, sirs, please leave a message in the comments below and I won't read it. And that's what we call a win-win scenario. So, getting back to gossip. Speaking about facts and opinions is not gossip. Me suggesting that the parody account on Twitter is having a relationship with producer Bob, that would be gossip. Yes, people outside the ex-JW community gossip too. YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram are full of gossip pages and channels. Kiwi Farms, classic example. Magazines, TV programs, it's all there. When I hear some gossip about Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, I don't call a person an elder's wife. I don't call them the man with the microphone. I don't call it anything other than what it is, gossip or an opinion.
What we're being treated to here is an extravaganza of cult control, of fear-mongering, of essentially telling Jehovah's Witnesses, you do not get to criticise us. You do not get to criticise the organisation. You do not get to criticise your elders or any aspect of the authority that we're placing you under. And to drive home this point, they're singling out this scripture in James about the tongue and its destructive force. And I would agree, the tongue can be destructive. You can use your tongue, you can use your speech in a way that is hurtful, or you can use it in a meaningful, purposeful way. And sometimes criticism is needed. In fact, if there is an abusive, corrupt, misleading, manipulative regime in place, how else is it going to be countered or even overthrown if everyone is persuaded to keep quiet? If everyone is told, well, actually, if you say anything, you're the one who's being destructive. One of the main mantras in my life that really guides my work and my activism and the videos that I make can be found in the words of Christopher Hitchens when he said, "Never be a spectator of unfairness or stupidity. Seek out argument and disputation for their own sake. The grave will supply plenty of time for silence." If something is wrong, if there is some injustice, if there is some corruption, you need to speak out about it against people in the YouTube comments who repeatedly kind of throw that at me. Oh, why didn't you just move on? As far as I'm concerned, people who seriously suggest that I should keep quiet about a corrupt, abusive, deceitful, manipulative organization and their leadership, they're not all that far removed from what Stephen Lett is saying here. And apparently the thing to do when faced with such abuse, with such corruption, with such arrogance, is to keep quiet. No, thank you. Not for me. I don't expect everyone to speak out. This is important to make clear. I don't expect everyone to be an activist. But I will never have a great deal of sympathy for those who say, just because I have persuaded myself that being quiet is the thing to do, I expect others to do the same.
Okay, so there you have it. The words of Lloyd himself on whether or not we should be allowed to have an opinion. I also want to say that for those of you who want to get, but he's talking about an obstructive, cult and this and that who destroys people's lives, and yeah, okay, I know, I get it, I understand that's what he's talking about. We all know what he's talking about. And if you want to see the whole video where it hasn't been clipped, go and watch it. It's called Stop Murmuring on the Lloyd Evans channel. You can find it's a few years old. It's not hard. Go look at the whole thing and watch it in its entirety. The point that I'm making, and this is where my opinion comes into it, is that is there merit in what Lloyd has said there? Is there a question that it's okay for us as ex-Jehovah's Witnesses to have an opinion about the Jehovah's Witness organization, and that we have the right to speak out, have an opinion, warn people about, certain behaviors within the organization? Absolutely, yes. Lloyd agrees with that. I agree with that. And I don't really know anybody in the ex-JW community who wouldn't agree with that. But as Lloyd said, when you see something and you that's wrong, you have the right to call it out, and then you have the right to warn people. And that is my position and my opinion in relation to when somebody is speaking about something on Twitter, social media, mainstream media, legacy media. It doesn't matter where it is, whether it be within our insular ex-JW community or within the whole world. We're entitled to our opinions. And there is a very big difference between gossip and opinion. And gossip isn't the big scary man in the room that the organisation has allowed us to believe. It's not, that horrible thing that can be implanted in our brain. Is it an indoctrinated thinking that you're gossiping? You're simply because you're talking about somebody else, you're gossiping. Just, that's where I'm saying, check yourself, because you could be wrecking yourself. For all those of you who are evolutionists, check out, do a bit of research if you're interested about the origins of gossip and what scientists have proven as to why people gossip. Everybody gossips. It can be positive, it can be negative, it doesn't necessarily have to fit into that definition that Watchtower has plowed into all of our brains for however many years we're in the organization. It does not have the same context. They're using that to shut us down so that we don't talk about anything that's uncomfortable. That is not a healthy way of thinking. If you go back and have a look at the scientific origins of gossip, it actually is a protection for humans. I'm not going to talk to you about it because I'm not a scientist and I'm not an expert. But if you're interested, go and check out the origins of gossip and have a look at it, of what it's supposed to be, what the organization has changed it or manipulated it to be within our minds. And then have a look around in the big wide world. Have a look around and see what exactly gossip is. Is it really this big bad? And we don't see people in the world comparing people to elders or to elders' wives or the gossip in the congregation. So, if we're really as, advanced in our deculting as we think we are, why as a community do we continue to behave that way and refer back to or blame the status of you're behaving like this? Why can't we just go, I agree to disagree with you, mostly disagree with you, and move on? Why do we have to put a negative connotation on gossip? Why is it that gossip is the generic word for an opinion, or the generic word for everything that doesn't sit comfortably with you? How about stop and have a think about it before you put the label? So I also just wanted to quickly give a bit of a roundup for this week. Episode 2 of Call Bethel has come out on yesterday. So if you're interested, check it out. You can find it through all of the Apple Podcasts or Spotify, all of those things. The Ramapo project is still trying to get through with the local authorities over in Ramapo. There's heaps of information around on the internet if you're looking. They're having much more trouble than what they thought, which, whether it gets approved or not, I really hope it doesn't. But if it does, it does. Government's government, laws are laws, whatever. But it certainly makes me happy to realise that they don't have Jehovah's hand on side, because they were supposed to start in January and it is now the end of June. Kim and Mike have put up a video today, I believe, and in it they talk about a number of different news items. There's a new court case which they refer to, and the link to the court case documents is in their description on their video. They talk about redress, which is, I think I touched on it last week, that yes, everything is going ahead with the redress, and I understand that the person that I was speaking to is expecting a written apology from their congregation in which their abuse occurred, and I think that would be absolutely fantastic for them to have. Kim Brooks also talks about the protest that is going on Mexico, Chile, and Panama. Don't quote me. Go check it out because it's very, very interesting. They're looking for support from English and Spanish and non-Spanish speaking people, or people who are bilingual. The details are all over on her channel. There's some interesting new articles up on Avoid JW. For anybody that's interested, they always have all the latest news on bits and pieces that are going on. To be honest, there's so much stuff going on in real life activism at the moment. I can't keep up. Literally, I cannot keep up. So I've been going to Kim and Mike always have information. Avoid JW always have information. Larchwood Corner is very good, as I've spoken about before, which is a pocket within Avoid JW. And last but not least, for all of those who continue to ask me, no, I have not heard anything from the Croatian courts. Lloyd's solicitor. However, I'm sure that you will find out, or someone will tell you, or there'll be a live stream, or who knows what, if and when we ever do hear anything. But at the moment, that's all I have for you. I've really enjoyed this week. Thank you for letting me have my opinion. If you've suffered it out to this point, I appreciate it. And I hope that I'll either be back next week with a weekly roundup. If you've got any videos or channels to suggest, please send them my way via Twitter if you can. And also, hopefully I might be able to have an opinion again another day. So thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate it, and I shall hopefully catch you again soon. Have a good week.